Alrighty, guys, I was actually considering not talking about this trailer or this big game spot because honestly, it doesn't have a whole lot, but it has enough new stuff, compared to the first trailer that I think it's worth talking about. So let's talk about the big game spot for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is one of the movies that I am the most excited about in 2025. You can go check out my top most anticipated movies of 2025 podcast episode that we did, or podcast segment. I'm beyond excited for this final, quote unquote, final Mission Impossible film because I just, similarly to how we talked about the F1 trailer compared to Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 was one of the best movie theater experiences I've ever had. I'm not even kidding. I remember being in the theater, right? And I remember sitting there and just watching the movie. I was like, yeah, it's a Mission Impossible movie. Of course, I'm, somewhat excited to see it. And I liked Rogue Nation. I liked Fallout. I liked Ghost Protocol. Well, those were the only movies, or the Mission Impossible movies that I saw in theaters. But, I was like, yeah, Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise is getting older. Does he still have it? And by the end of the movie, I remember it's summer 2023. I walked out and I said, this is one of the best experiences in a theater I've ever had. I know they promoted that motorcycle stunt over and over again. The train sequence was better to me. That train sequence and every single car ratcheting down, that was incredible. So yeah, needless to say, I was beyond excited for this new Mission Impossible film. And this Mission Impossible film is being retitled from Dead Reckoning Part 2 to The Final Reckoning. And we have our next little bit of promotional footage. And look, like I said, it's not a whole lot of new stuff, right? It's similar shots to what we've seen. But I think there's enough new here. So, we have, I think the shot that stood out the most to me was the shot of Tom Cruise hugging Ving Rhames. And I think this movie, more so, obviously because it's allegedly Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible movie, is going to be, I think, leaning a little bit more into the emotion, right? Because we have Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, now Haley Atwell has joined the crew. I think Vanessa Kirby, I believe she survived the last one. I think Rebecca Ferguson was the only one who died in the last one. So yeah, we got some of the old crew. I think Angela Bassett is in this one as well. So it's really going to bring back everybody from the older Mission Impossible films. I think even some of the older cast, like in the first 3 films that came out in the 90s and early 2000s. And I think that, seeing that shot, for example, and I think that makes that final line where he says, again, it's the same shot from the first trailer, but he's like, I need you guys to trust me one last time. It makes it kind of hit home a little bit more because it's like, oh yeah, like this is going to be probably the last mission we see Ethan Hunt on in general. The other thing that stands out to me is the amount of sheer just action set pieces that they were able to show glimpses of in 30 seconds. You have one underwater, you have one on that plane. I think there were a couple others that I'm forgetting right now, but it's like 4 or 5 separate action set pieces, which again, the franchise has been known for, but it's ratcheting it up every single time. And at a certain point, you kind of go, when is it going to hit the ceiling? And I thought that the same thing about the last one, and turns out I was wrong. It really was incredible what they were able to do. And so in this movie, maybe they're just going to throw everything against the wall. Tom Cruise is an incredible, crazy person, daredevil, who just, risks his life to do these kinds of stunts. And I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't encourage anyone else that I know to do it. But, he does it, and the product is just phenomenal to watch. So it's really, really cool to see. I'm excited. I'm waiting maybe for one more substantial trailer. The movie's still 3 months away, 3.5 months away. So we got time. But it's nice to see. And it's also nice to see that Paramount is making this final push for the final Mission Impossible film, which I think is going to be really cool. I have to rewatch the 7th one in preparation for this because I love that film. And so I'm really excited for this 8th Mission Impossible film. Guys, what did you think about the big game spot for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning? Let me know in the comments down below.